If you're like me, chances are you've never heard of Angelman syndrome until now. While it is a rather rare disability, there is hope thanks to the folks like Heather, Kenny, and Kendall Daniel. Such a pleasure to have all of you guys here.
Thank you.
I'd never heard of this until you got in touch with us and told us about this disease and some of the events that you have coming up. And let me just say, she is adorable. She's watching herself on the screen, and I love it. Plus, we've got cookies on this, on the table prepared in case she, she's a typical child, so she may get a little, a little rowdy, but she is just adorable. Tell us first of all, what is Angelman's syndrome?
Well, it's a disruption or deletion of a little tiny piece of the 15th chromosome called UBE3A, which isn't actually needed till after birth, but it is usually needed for the central nervous system to take in information and process it normally. So therefore, it causes, when you have a deletion or it's disrupted, you can't process your information correctly. So it makes, learning difficult. Also, she has seizures because of it, and they can't talk because their memory is kind of disrupted.
Yeah, well, because she's 4 years old, and she was 2 years old when you figured out that, something wasn't quite right. And what I love about this story, and there's some great pictures, isn't she cute? What I found fascinating is that you knew at an early age that something just really wasn't quite right. Couldn't really figure out. You go online, and you really took a proactive approach. You found kind of the answer, or what you thought might be going on, and then you went to the doctor and said, I want her tested for this. Is that right?
It started very early. She was about 3 months old when she was admitted in that picture, and she wasn't eating. She came home eating just fine as a newborn, and she just wasn't eating. They diagnosed her with failure to thrive, but it was still like at least a year before I found Angelman syndrome, but that was based on the fact she wasn't crawling at 1 year old.
Right.
And she had just started sitting up at like 9 months old.
Right.
But she wasn't babbling like most kids her age.
Right. And and I think that's what I like is, do you want to come over here, Kendall? How about a cookie? Want a cookie? That'll get you. That'll get you. Yeah. So what you're saying is that now she's 4 years old, but she's a little bit sort of delayed, is what you call it. So that's kind of, what are the main other sort of symptoms that you find with this? What is she experiencing?
Well, it overlaps a lot of symptoms of cerebral palsy and autism, and so that's a big deal because a lot of kids are misdiagnosed as having those two versus Angelman syndrome, which is a genetic test that can actually test for Angelman.
Okay.
So but it's seizures, the inability to talk. Some can't walk, but she can walk.
Well, she definitely still has a lot of energy, that's for sure.
Oh,
she's still, to me, just a beautiful, she seems quite normal, I mean, she's just absolutely gorgeous. Want to talk real quick about the fact that then you're having the foundation walk. So we have a walk coming up, and we'll have the information in just a second, but the idea is you're trying to raise money for the research for this kind of thing, right?
Yes, because there's been a lot of information that the researchers have found that shows that it can be a very treatable disorder. It's just a matter of, because there's only like 1 to 15 to 20,000 people diagnosed, pharmaceutical companies aren't really willing to pick up this medicine.
So you're helping to hopefully pick up that slack by raising some of that money and getting the research done. Well, thank you so much for bringing attention to us. Here's the information on the walk itself. It is at Dan Daniel Park in Danville, and that is May 19th. You can go to angelman.org, click on the upcoming events tab, and that'll list all of the walks and races and things, and donate some money if you can, and I'm telling you, Kendall will be she'll be so thrilled. She's beautiful. Thank you for taking that proactive approach to help find Angelman syndrome. Bye, sweetie. All right, stay right there because we'll be back in just a few.